For more on this, we're now being joined by author and political analyst Stephen Golub from California. Thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast.
Thanks for having me.
My first question, how do you assess the situation? It's the latest in a string of mass shootings in the United States. And as per some estimates, there have been at least 130 mass shootings already this year.
Well, I assess it in the sense that this is actually, as U.S. shootings go, not that big a deal. And in saying that, I want to emphasize, of course, it's a big deal in an absolute sense. 6 people killed, 3 of them 9-year-olds. But compared to other shootings we have here, this isn't nearly as big. You know, the broader question or related question, I think, is why is this happening in the United States? Why so repeatedly compared to any other countries? Why are we the country that has the highest child mortality rate per capita due to guns? It's the leading cause of death among children 1 to 18 in our country. Why is that? And there are many factors, but I feel that the most basic factor is that Americans, or many Americans, really like guns.
Right, absolutely. In fact, I was just going to come to that. Following the passage of last year's bipartisan gun safety law, there's been little political momentum in the divided Congress for more gun safety legislation, even as the rate of mass shootings has picked up. And U.S. President Joe Biden has called on Congress again to pass the assault weapons ban. How do you assess the prospects of that?
Very, very weak, perhaps even non-existent. As I said, part of our culture is that not the majority, but many Americans like guns. We're the only country in the world, certainly the only major country, that has more guns, more than one gun per person. Now, take into account that we're talking about infants, children, the many people who don't have guns. That means that the gun owners in the United States often have more than one gun. And it gets back to the fact that guns are a part of the culture of many Americans. Again, not the majority. They have gun shows. They have gun clubs. They have all sorts of recreational use of guns in firing ranges. So that's a big reason that you have so much opposition among people who are strongly opposed to gun control. If you want to get down to a couple of other levels, one is that a political philosophy or an attitude that undergirds a lot of this is the notion that in some quarters of our society, that freedom is paramount. And when they say freedom to do whatever they want. You actually have a great economist, Nobel winner, Amartya Sen from India, one of the greatest economists ever, arguably, who's pointed out that freedom is not just your freedom to do whatever you want, but it's freedom from fear and other things. Those wise words have nothing to do with the perspective of so many Americans. And I'll emphasize one again, not the majority. And then to just add one more layer to this, our National Rifle Association is a very well-funded, very well-organized group that can mobilize people to vote against politicians who vote for gun control. The majority of people are for gun control, but in a close election, maybe the 5 or 10% who feel vehemently like this can make the difference because they're single-issue voters.
Right, absolutely. In fact, this is a highly political issue, pitting gun control advocates against sections of the population that are fiercely protected of their rights to bear arms. So, in your opinion, what could be the solution to this?
Good question. It's a multifaceted solution, but you actually heard President Biden say it to start with. Ban assault weapons. These are military weapons. These are weapons that were designed for war, not for people's recreational use, not for home protection, which some use as an excuse, not for other purposes that civilians would use them for. Simply ban assault weapons, ban the bullets that go with the magazines that go with them that can hold 20, 50 bullets at a time so they can kill people in a rapid fire way, as well as other forms of gun control. Whether that'll happen is another matter, but those things will certainly help. And actually, as long as we're talking about other steps, really step up the rigor with which people are reviewed when they try to get a gun. It's easier to get a gun in the U.S. than it is to get a driver's license or other sorts of permits. And that's ridiculous when we're talking about weapons that can kill people and that do kill people in the U.S. at a much higher rate than almost any other country on earth, be they assault weapons like the AR-15 or even handguns.
Right. Mr. Gaurav, thank you so much for joining us in this broadcast with your insights on this.
Thank you.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.